Hi, welcome to Bookmark. I'm your host, Don Noble. My guests today are Tina Mozelle Braziel and her husband, James Braziel. The Braziels, together, have written a most unusual book, Glass Cabin, the story of how they built their house in the woods together with their own hands. I spoke with Tina Mozelle Braziel and James Braziel in Studio UA in the Digital Media Center on the campus of the University of Alabama. Tina, Jim, it is so nice to see you again.
It's lovely to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you. Thanks.
We were all together in Monroeville just 3-4 months ago. And it was a great pleasure for me to hear you talk about your new book. And so I thought, well, we've just got to do that. We've got to sit down, and the three of us, and talk about your new book. And it's a little bit about the books before that. This is your first time on Bookmark, so our viewers don't know you yet. So, Jim, you are not exactly an Alabamian, but nearly, right? Where are you from? Where'd you go to school?
I'm from South Georgia, and I grew up on a farm down there, and I went to my undergraduate at the University of Georgia, and I have my MFA from Bowling Green State up in Ohio. So,
oh, you went to Ohio.
yeah, that was some rough weather up there.
A lot of your work is set in Alabama, though, in northeast Alabama. Did you ever live up there?
No, I mean, I live in Blount County, which is north of Birmingham. And so, I mean, it is interesting. I always feel like I wrote my way to Alabama because my novel, Birmingham 35 Miles, is about, it's about the Southeast becoming a dust bowl. And the people are like these clay miners, and Birmingham's like the promised land, and they can't quite get there, and they're kept out of there. But then since then, everything, even though I am from Georgia, everything is about Alabama.
It has been, yes. Well, even the stories too. A lot of the stories
and the stories
seem to be set in Alabama.
Oh yeah, those are all set up in Blount County, right. Where we live, and.
Right. I'm going to ask Tina to characterize her poems in a minute, but I think I can characterize the stories.
Mm-hmm.
This ditch walking love.
Yeah.
Here's how I characterize them. I think I already did this once in print. They are raw, violent, hard,
yeah.
poor. I mean, those are really rough people in those stories.
Yeah. I grew up in one of the poorest counties in the state of Georgia. So everyone I grew up with, nobody had much.
Yeah.
And so that's, and I've just tried to carry their voices forward, and then living in Blount County, getting to know the people there, and just those voices too, they came together to inspire me to write those stories.
Yeah, well, they are filled with people shooting each other with shotguns and having a very hard time of it. This is not exactly the case. You have a couple of volumes of poems.
Yes.
And many of the characters in the poems are of modest means. Mm-hmm. How do you characterize the poems? What are they about? What is the interest that you have that is expressed in those poems?
So I think of them as poems that celebrate people, particularly working class people, mm-hmm. and those landscapes, partly because I want to lend dignity to those folks and the people that I grew up among and was a part of. For me, that's pointing out the beauty is a way of encouraging people to see them as human and worthy.
Right, and your own life.
Yeah.
Where are your origins? Where did you go to school?
I grew up in Pell City, Alabama on the Coosa River, and I went to the University of Montevallo, and I went to UAB for my MA, and then I went to the University of Oregon for my MFA.
And when you were in Oregon for your MFA, you two were apart.
Yes.
And that pops up. I mean, that is a long distance relationship.
Yeah, it's a 4-day drive.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it
Well,
takes some time.
How, obviously you were a couple before you had to go to Oregon to get your degree. Where did you meet, and how did you become a married couple and a writing couple?
Well, she should tell you the first part, and I can tell you the second.
Sure.
So we met in San Francisco where Jim was interviewing for his job at UAB, and I was on the search committee. So I hired him. I thought he was such a good candidate. I thought I might as well marry him as well.
That covers it. Yes. Yes.
But it was later where we fell in love is we went down to the 280 Boogie, which is just north of Auburn, and we were just dancing and started kissing, and then that was it.
Yeah.
And then started dating.
Well, it's so far so good. There's no doubt about it. As I understand it, you have a son from a long ago previous marriage,
Yes.
and you were living in Birmingham and renting an apartment, and a good deal of your income was going to the rent.
Yes.
And that was the impetus for you
Yes.
decided no more rent. How did you find this piece of land, and why did you choose it? And where is it?
So, well, it was half. You don't make a lot of money teaching, and half of what I made was going toward rent. So I actually went down to Hill County to the rural studio where the architecture students there, they build homes for people who don't have a lot. And I was inspired by how they used recycled materials. And so I just started driving out from Birmingham looking for land because I wanted to get back into the country. And I knew I couldn't have a writing life if I was paying rent or a mortgage. And so I just kept going, and I would go and talk to people, and I would be like, hey, do you know where I can get some land, like at a gas station or something? And people would say to me like, hey, I want to do that you want to do, So eventually the land I found, it was a guy had gone belly up in the 2008 housing crisis, and he wanted to build like a little suburbia out here in the middle of nowhere, but he lost that land, and the city below could not get water up to it.
So you don't have a city water,
Right.
or, as I understand it, it's a bad place to drill a well.
You have to go so deep, and we have like one neighbor that drilled 2 or 3 before she finally hit water.
Oh.
And so, I think one neighbor's like 500-600 feet. So, so we found it was 10 acres, and I got it really cheap. And it was like $6,000 for 10 acres. And
you and your son, Dylan,
yes,
started.
Dylan.
You worked on it for a while, and you worked on it during vacations and so on.
Yeah.
One of the things that this is for you, really, you moved in before it was done, didn't you?
Yes.
When I'm sure you could live outdoors on the ground. I'm not worried. But you moved into that place before it was heated, or if I had a roof that didn't have water, and you didn't have a roof.
We had a roof, but we didn't have walls.
Right.
Yeah.
And did you, of course you were in Oregon for the school year, but did you ever live there in the winter?
In Oregon?
No, up by Locust Fork in the winter.
Yeah. We were that first winter we were there. We managed to get it dried in, like got all the walls in before before it got too cold, and we had a wood burning stove, but it would get really cold.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we kept it above freezing
And
at night. So.
And the parts of your book about water. Water is. This is not news to anybody. Water is absolutely essential.
Yeah.
And you didn't have any. So you brought it in the back of a truck.
Yes, I hauled it. The Pine Mountain Rimlap Water Authority is down the hill. It's about a mile away. And I just worked out something with the guy there, Dean. He said, just whenever you need water, just come on and you can fill it up from the spigot. And when you've reached like up to 2,000 gallons, you can pay the minimum that we charge people, which was like $30. And so one of those tanks holds 250 gallons, so that's 8 runs down the hill to get water, and one tank would last about 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, and somebody had to do the dishes and the laundry and so on.
Well, he does the dishes.
Tina cooks, I do the dishes.
It sounds as if you must have been measuring out the water by the dram every day, all day.
Yeah, it teaches you to conserve. I mean, like any water that I use to like rinse off like vegetables to cook, I'll save that water and use it to water the plants instead of just putting it in the bucket that Jim would have to carry outside to empty. So it definitely teaches you how to conserve.
Oh, how to get along with everything. If you have to carry it,
Right.
you're very careful with it. And there is I will only say this once, a chemical toilet.
Oh, it's a composting toilet.
Composting toilet. Well,
with,
enough of that.
peat moss.
That's clearly got to be the case. In the course of building this house, I mean, obviously you didn't have very much money, either one of you. So, in the story of building it, there's a good deal about where you got the parts, the supplies. Part of it is, some of it is wood, some of it is it galvanized iron or tin or what, and some of it is glass. You built a foundation out of what, old telephone poles or something, Jim?
Yeah, they were power poles, utility poles that came down in the 2011 tornadoes, and a friend of ours had them on his land, and the glass actually it's glass that protected stained glass in a church in South Georgia, and my father, he was playing the church organ, and the preacher said, "Does anyone want that glass?" Because we're putting up plexi on the stained glass now, and my dad raised his hand. And that's how actually the house got designed, was around that glass.
So the glass is not the stained glass.
Right.
The glass is the glass that protected the stained glass.
That's right.
So I have not seen your house. Is there a wall of glass? Two wall? What does it look like?
So there are 3 walls of glass, and then the north wall is not, to protect from the wind, and that wall has the tin. A fellow poet, Randy Blythe, he took down a camp house on his farm, and he gave that to us, and that became what we put on the north wall. But the glass, it's interesting. It's like it just always draws us out to nature. So even though we're there looking out, then nature's like, "Come on," and then we have to go outdoors.
A great many people are neurotic about people looking in. But no one's looking in where you are, right?
We're surrounded in trees. People wouldn't even know we're there.
There's a section where this is really early in the construction, and I'm not sure I understood it, but those utility poles, you pounded them down vertically into the ground?
No,
what was the digging of those?
So we dug
impossible fence post holes.
So we had to we used post hole diggers, and we dug it, because I grew up on a farm. I knew how to put in fence posts, and so we just by hand would dig up the 4 feet deep. And this was during a drought, and you know how the chert and everything, it just turns like a powder, and it was so hard. You had to use a rock bar to dig that hole up. And my dad said you have to pour like a little bit of water. We'd bring in water to kind of loosen up the dirt. And so that was the process. And then you had to lift those utility poles and get them down in the hole. And then,
So they are vertical,
yes.
and then the joists, so to speak, go across the top
Right.
of the utility poles that are all on the ground.
Yeah.
And how many of them are there?
Oh, I think there's 20.
Oh, that sounds awful.
It was during the summer. It was, and Tina helped with that. Well, Tina would go, and before we would dig more, the frogs would get in the holes overnight. And she would go down and dig down and take the frogs out. So that was the first order of business every day.
And understand that you had a specialty as well in construction, and for some reason, which I couldn't fathom, you were in charge of building stairs.
Yeah.
What special skills did you bring to building stairs?
It was just, I didn't really have any special skills, and I spent a lot of time looking at it, looking up how to build them, and we ended up just having to buy stringers and put them on there, and that worked. Yeah. So I spent a lot of time on the internet trying to figure out, like, there's stair calculators, but the calculations didn't work out right for me.
And there's, I don't know the real words, but there's the height of the stair and the width of the stair.
Right, yeah, the tread and the rise.
Oh, see, there you go.
And as a poet, of course, I just got fascinated by the words.
Well, it's how long did it all, in a sense, start to finish? I mean, it's not finished, right? But at some moment you must have said, well, now we're done. The rest is extra, so to speak. How long was it? Was it 2 years, 5 years? What was it?
What would you say?
Probably two.
2 years.
Yeah.
Well, I just can't imagine. Now, maybe I could have, if I was, say, 20. But I can't imagine it anymore. The actual text, let's just say, of your book, it's when at what point did you, it must have been an evolutionary process, because the book is sort of part poems, part narrative. A lot of yours is declarative, nonfiction.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are sections of prose poems. Is there a story, an evolutionary story about how that came to be this way? And then when you went to publish it, how did you sell it? Tina, what'd you do?
Well, we were really fortunate in that there was a publisher that was looking for rural poets, Frances McHugh with Pulley Press, and she contacted Lauren Slaughter that teaches at UAB. Lauren directed her to us, and so she contacted us and asked us if we'd be willing to write a book of poems about the house, and asked us to write a proposal, and we did. So we had a contract for a book of poetry, which is not very common, and put this book together. And she helped us a lot with like suggestions on how to put it together.
And it moves section by section by section. Some are by you, then you, and back and forth. And some are, as I say, straight out what I would simply call nonfiction. And then some are prose poems, and some are bona fide poems. And in the course of all of it, and I was touched by this down in Monroeville, while you're writing poems that will constitute the book, you're also writing poems to each other. And I can't resist, but would you read love poems to each other, please?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I don't know who's supposed to go first.
Okay.
You go first.
Husband and wife love poems.
So this one's more about Jim. I married him before he got the roof on. Married him before June, before he said we're moving come September, even if we live in a tent. Married him before I saw our ceiling was so high rain would blow in. Married him before he tied an apron of nails around my waist each morning. Before I learned measuring twice and cutting once never guarantees getting it right. Before I fathomed how this is more epic than being benighted on a cliffside or backpacking slot canyons. How nothing is left safe at home base. How I must carry all that I am, all that I have, around saws and scaffolding, through rainstorms and sawdust. Yes, I married him before I got how all in, all is. Married him before he called me trouble like he calls Dylan. And the cat, a pet he never wanted, now brushes, pours a saucer of milk and cup of water. Before I knew he'd build that cat a bed and line it with his own wool sweaters. I married before I got the measure of a man is the trouble he loves and how.
The one thing I should say too is that when Tina went off to Oregon, I promised her the house would be done by the time she got home.
Oh, yes.
And it was not. But this poem is, so finally chigger season is over, but in the summer they just attack us all summer long. And this is a love poem to Tina, and it's called Chigger Braille. So
Chigger Braille.
Chigger Braille. You call your skin Chigger Braille because all the bites you got in the garden, because a snake was coiled around a rabbit, and that baby's cry brought you into the meadow in your long summer dress the chiggers like to cling to. Now, days later, you can't help but scratch, worried about impetigo you fear. But the chigger braille along your spine you can't reach. Those are the banished stars from your Milky Way, puckered into dewy, waxy, red bites. Oh, my love, let me touch you there. What irritates you most, I desire. You should slap my face for thinking such. You should remind me of the rules of love. Scratch if you want, please, but don't desire what itches me. So I will keep quiet the words I find on your back made by insects, skin, hungry, drunk, looking for place to burrow into home.
Well, as I said in Monroeville, this is an embarrassment to husbands everywhere. People are going to be expecting this kind of thing. Out there in the woods, one of the, of course, all books remind readers of other books, but I was reminded an element of this is Pilgrim at Tinker Creek. Mm-hmm. Very, very close examination of your immediate surroundings as the seasons roll. And of course, it reminded me of Walden as well, because it's likewise a narrative of he built his cabin in a flash, not over a period of several years. But there was a funny line. There is a line I like in Walden. People asked him, was he lonely in his cabin, and why didn't he get a bird for company, a caged bird? And Thoreau said, I had no need of a caged bird for company, for I had caged myself among them. Which is what you've done. You've put yourself in the world of nature. You've become a part of it. And you, of course, Tina, have a high sensitivity to distress. Mm-hmm. And I was amused by the stories of the tadpoles. Tell me about the tadpoles.
So this began in 2020 during the pandemic, and I guess everybody was paying attention more to nature, and we noticed this puddle. It had tadpoles in it, and it was starting to dry up. And Jim said, well, if you don't take them home, they're going to die. And I figured I couldn't do worse than death. And so I took them home, put them in my casserole dishes, and I've been raising tadpoles ever since.
Mm-hmm. And when you're successful, they become frogs.
And toads.
And toads, of course.
Puddles are kind of free-for-all blooms.
This is, I guess we'll all have to do our parts here. That's all there is to it.
Well, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I want to give you an opportunity to say what it is. You can't repeat this exactly. It is unique. And it's a word I don't like much, but this time it is the case. What will you separately and together do next? Tina?
So I'm working on another collection of poems
Uh-huh.
that features tadpoles.
All right.
It's tentatively titled "I'm a Terrible God," and then we're also planning on working on a nonfiction book and maybe poetry together about an area down from where we live called Sally Branch. It's a small creek, and there's some developers that are thinking of developing a lot of land there. So,
Jim, you can't like that.
No. And
What are you doing about it?
well, for starters, we're going to write this book about it. But we're looking for, maybe there's a snail or a tree or something that's endangered, and maybe that will slow them down. So we're bringing in people to kind of help us figure out something. It's this branch is, it's the heart of this little, of all the animals and everything there. And and it's interesting, like the Pilgrim at Tinker Creek is definitely, that's a model for us. I'm finishing up a novel about basketball and the rural South and the Smoke Risers set in Blount County. And they are on their way to the state playoffs, and one of the players goes missing. And it's about the effect of that on the team and the school and the community. And it's a town that's divided by the river, and like a lot of towns, divided by railroad tracks, divided by race. And down in that river is the devil and old Hoofer, and he steps on his staircase, and when he does, it brings a mist up, which is how the town got its name, and keeps everybody separate from each other. So, but yeah, that's what I'm working on.
You go ahead and write them, and I'll go forward and read them, and all will be well. This has been fun. Thank you both for coming.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Don.
Yeah, we've enjoyed it.